everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also attached a copy to the Marvel database that will give you plot synopsis and characters, kind of like the old Who's Who / Marvel Universe guide. So we're going to be looking at Thor number 360, written and drawn by Walter Simonson, letters by John Workman. This is from 1985. So we are continuing our run through Thor. We don't have too many issues left where Walt Simonson does the art. Eventually, Simonson will leave to go to do X Factor. He will remain as writer, but Sal Buscema will take over as artist. We're also going to see Sal Buscema when we do the Baldur the series, limited series, the 4-issue limited series. So Simonson wrote that, and we'll be showing that as well. So we've been doing. There's a playlist. We've been doing all of Simonson's run, and you can see that in the playlist below. Walter Simonson is one of my absolute favorites. So, Into the Valley of Death. Here we go. So we're basically starting off where we left off. All the Asgardian heroes are coming back from Earth. So, at last, too long have we tarried in Midgard, which is also known as Earth. Here's our credits. John Workman Jr. is one of the best letterers. There's 3 really, really good letterers, and he's one of them. Tom Orzechowski and Kevin Kline are the other 2. Everybody else, no offense, but those are the 3 absolute greatest. Love his R. His R is one that I have been trying to copy, and so I do my R very similar to how he does his. So all the Asgardians are bringing stuff from Earth. And the Warriors 3 is like, well, we don't have anything. We just have Volstagg. So he says he's large enough to be a prize for anyone. And Fandral here says, Hogan, I've lost my grip upon the Lion of Asgard's arm. I, too, no longer sense his massive girth behind us. And the portal shrieks like 1,000 demons, threatening to close behind us at any moment. And suddenly Volstagg shoots through with his I Love New York t-shirt. Make way, you puny warriors. The Lion of Asgard hath returned to his den. So, alright. So, he makes a big commotion now. Finally get to it. Thor calls upon his warriors. They're all very happy to see them. So the Asgardian says, where's Odin? Surely the liege lord of the realm should greet the returning heroes. What is this? I do not see the palace of Asgard. Where are the soaring spires of our great city? Thor says, warriors, heed the words of Lady Frigga, who stands beside me, for she will say what must be said before the assembled multitude. So everyone then falls quiet. And Frigga speaks. By the way, Frigga is who the day of the week, Friday, is named after. Thor, of course, is Thursdays, and Odin is Wednesdays. So, I salute you, brave warriors. You have won a great victory for Asgard and for all the 9 worlds. Without your valor and your courage, all our hopes would have been in vain. But though you have come home, 'tis not a home coming that any have foreseen. The war with Surtur has been costly. The great city of Asgard has nearly been destroyed. And yet, this is the least of our losses. Of course, this all happened in 350 through 353, which I have covered. O warriors, weeping for your mates, who shall not return to earth. O children, crying for your fathers and mothers who shall not see Asgard's majesty again. Know that Frigga shares in your grief, for Odin the All-Father fell with Surtur into the fires of Muspelheim. Your liege lord, my husband, has sacrificed himself that the 9 worlds might live. Behind him was this. Behind him, he has left. Okay, sorry. Behind him, he has left the great scepter, which I hold before you now. In time, we must choose a new ruler to sit in Odin's high seat and take up the scepter's challenge. But today, let us mourn for all those whose passing has allowed our eyes to see another sunrise. My grief overcomes me. I can say no more, she says. Love Simonson's use. I try to copy this whenever I draw a star, the sun, or anything like that. I absolutely love his kind of like a cross with the. So all the warriors stand silently in front of her, and Thor now speaks. As guardians, the war is over. I say that as Frigga now holds the scepter in trust, so should she continue as caretaker of the realm until we can elect a new leader. But there is another wrong yet to right. For the allies of Surtur have labored mightily in his cause, and much of their work remains to be undone. Far below us is the kingdom of Hela, the death goddess. Mortal souls lie languishing in bondage, sent there by the treacherous wiles of Malekith the Accursed, which is Thor 345 to 348, which I have also covered. These innocent victims of ageless evil were sent to hell, where they tasted the food of the fairy, leaving behind their bodies in Midgard slaves to the dark elves. All around us, Asgard lies in ruins, and the gods must attend to her hurts, but mortal souls cry out to mortal souls and beg release. I am the guardian of Midgard, and I will not rest till they are free. Hear me now. You are Einher. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Einher. The J has an I sound. Einherjar. Einherjar. Mortal heroes chosen by the Valkyries to live in the glory of Valhalla. You will ride with me to hell to thwart the will of Hela and set free the souls of your fellows. Will ye ride with the mighty Thor to the valley of death? And of course they all raise their hands. So this guy comes to him and he says, "Yes, Hurricane, what would the leader of the Einherjar have from Thor?" And he says, "A moment of your time, my lord. I have something that I think you should see. While we are on Asgard, I have had the opportunity to observe the fighting styles of our mortal allies, and I found their weapons most interesting. Some judicious horse trading has enabled me to return to Asgard with a large sampling of mortal ingenuity. My men have already begun to master these strange and wonderful weapons, my lord. In truth, I had not anticipated such early usefulness." And so they have all these guns. "But say the word, and we'll show Hela teeth of steel she has never dreamed existed." And Thor says, "I sometimes think, Hurricane, that the presence of mortals frequently exceeds that of the gods." So a short time later, Thor has a mission for Agnar, which we will be covering in Balder the Brave. So, which is just a 4-issue limited series. "I'm depending on you, Agnar. Seek out Balder in the realm of the Nornqueen and tell him that I have need of him here in Asgard." He says, "I shall not fail you, my lord. For only he knows the way home from the dismal halls of death." And so Sif says, "But can you be sure you will not fail him, Thor?" And he says, "As I have failed you, Sif." "I mean, my lord, that whatever your intentions you may yet disappoint those who follow you. Or love me? I have never said so, my lord. Some declarations, Sif, are not spoken, and if begging could earn your forgiveness, my lady, I would abase myself utterly." Of course, we're referring to last issue when he slapped her, but before anybody comes here and says you need to watch the video, because he was not in control of himself. Otherwise, he never would have done so. So he was under the control of Lorelai, in case someone is seeing this for the first time and hasn't gone back to look at that previous issue. So, again, she says, I have never asked that of you, nor forgiven me for striking you, which happened in the previous issue. Perfection is not given even to the gods of Asgard, my lady, and without perfection there is always failure. I would give anything to be made perfect in your eyes again, but even the power of my father Odin could not undo what has been done. So if you'll excuse me, my lady, I will trouble you no longer with my presence as he walks away. Great panel here, great everything. I love Walter Simonson. So, and so Heimdall comes out and says, Thor seems grimmer than is his wont. Oh, this old English. But never doubt that he loves you, sister. I cannot imagine, Heimdall, that if he truly loved me, he would have struck me under any circumstances. What, um, and so I think we go here. He struck me, Heimdall. How could I ever forget that? Um, what tiny imaginations immortals have. Flawed. Okay. Flawed he may be and deeply hurt by the loss of his father, yet perhaps no wound goes deeper than this one. No one has asked you to, but it is so difficult a thing to forgive. Okay, so it was this way and then this way. So, all right. Small wonders he seeks the pits of hell so eagerly. And so the enchantress comes asking for Heimdall. Heimdall, I have been searching for you everywhere. Please walk with me. I've something to discuss with you, if you'll forgive us, Sif. I was just leaving. I have said what I had to say. And so he walks away, and again, Sif waits alone. So, love how Simonson draws all this. It's just beautiful, man. Okay. At the edge of Asgard, nestled against the mountain's roots, stands the halls of Odin. And as the day draws on, a single visitor enters the great gateway. And so, Frigga and Thor are about to have a talk. I have been waiting for you, my son. Ever since I heard you speaking of hell, I knew you would come. I doubt that he is in Hela's waiting arms, Thor. Your father was ever true to me in his heart. Odin would not have deserted me for her, meaning death. Hela would not have asked his permission, mother, and by now she may have found his shade and lured it within her kingdom. I must know, so. And the immortals must be freed. So have you come to test the power of Odin's runes? Do not do this thing, my son. Only the dead know the way to hell. There are some magics that even Odin feared to work. Let the path to death remain untrodden by the living. Since that road is known only to the dead, mother, then I shall ask the dead to show me its secret. And when I hold the runes of my father in my hand, they will answer me. So it looks like we may be able to be getting some zombies here. Far above Asgard, towering over all the realms, stands oh my goodness, Lidskjalf, the high seat where once Odin sat and watched the workings of the nine worlds. From the high seat, it is said that a god can see all things. So, Thor's going to climb, even the future or the past, and the dead belong to the past. The casket grows heavier and heavier the higher I climb, thinks Thor. But there is no weight too great to keep me from achieving the summit. And so he's about to open it. And no risk I would not dare to achieve my goal. Father, if you are there, I shall find you. So, man, Simonson, what a great story he is crafting. His Thor run is just I would put that with anyone's run. Frank Miller's Daredevil run, Chris Claremont's X-Men run. Yes, I know Chris Claremont had a huge run, but it had some peaks and valleys. And Simonson's is mostly all peaks with very, very few valleys. Peter David's Hulk run. There's some writers that have had time to really cement and really put. Jason Aaron also had a wonderful run on Thor. I think his run on Thor was as long as Simonson's run, so he really had time to uh, really put the a spin on things. You got to give writers time to get to know these characters and be able to tell stories more so than a limited series where they're just telling a particular story. You got to give um, writers the chance to really cement their own legacy. And there's just so few. That's why they're people clamor. Like I said, Frank Miller's Daredevil, Simonson's Thor run, Peter David's Hulk run, Claremont's X-Men run. Um, let's see, who else had a lengthy run? Maybe I'm not thinking. I know. I mean, Stan Lee had a long run in the Fantastic Four. Oh, John Byrne in the Fantastic Four. He had a very long run there as well. Anyway, I digress. But I really, like I said, I really, really, really love Simonson's Thor run. So like I said, we're ending his artistic half, but the latter half, his writing continues to be just as good. It does take a little bit of dip in the art. Sal Buscema, who again we're gonna see in the Balder limited series, is serviceable, but he's no Simonson, and um, unfortunately, there's very few Simonsons. So anyway, into the teeth of the howling storm I cast the runes of Odin, the runes of life and death. 12 I cast. Anger, Angerboda I call, mother of three monsters, which, whom Hela has summoned long ago. Rise from your tomb and walk again to the land of the living. And so Thor thinks the storm grows more frenzied. And so here's this lady, Angerboda. So we have a nice kind of long vertical panel. Simonson's great art, kind of showing energy here. I've also been serializing his um, run on Orion. If you're interested, I have that as well. All right. Unwilling I have come, son of Odin, I would say no more. And Thor says, speak, witch, of the road to hell. Speak of the road that a living man might tread. And she says, unwilling I shall speak, I would say no more. The runes about your neck make you mine to command. Speak, witch, of the road to hell. Thor keeps demanding. Seek in the shadows of the hellhound Garm for your entrance. Black the entrance, blacker still the journey. 9 days' ride will bring you to the river Gjöll and the bridge Gjallerbru. So again, the J has an I sound in Scandinavian. That's why it's Mjolnir, not Mjolnir or something like that. It's Mjolnir. So I'm pronouncing the J with the I sound. So so great here of Thor kind of covering his face with his cape. I have seen what no living being should see. Return, Angerboda, to your grave and leave the land of life. I have learned what I must know, and I release you. And she attacks Thor. I'll return to hell, mighty Thor, but not alone. For if you would travel the road to death, I can show you a quicker way to find it. Embrace me, fool, she says, and fall with me to thy doom. Hela shall greet the son of Odin at last. And Thor thinks her strength is unbelievable. She has sealed my lips. I cannot speak to command her. And in another moment I shall join her on the Hellway, but no longer as a living being. The runes brought her to this world, then let them send her back to hell. And he grabs his hammer and shatters them. And you see shatter. John Workman, what a magnificent. And so she screams. It is over. Angerboda has returned to the realm of death, and I must return the runes to my father's hall. And I feel as though the storm clouds have settled upon my heart, and dire foreboding echoes in my soul this night. Meanwhile, far below the high seat in the green woods not far from Asgard. So the enchantress says, For lo, these many years, Heimdall, you have strayed not a foot from the Rainbow Bridge, faithful guard and guardian. But now that the Rainbow Bridge has been destroyed, I think the time has come that we should know each other better. And so Heimdall says, That may be, Amora, but what of your nosy friend who follows us? And she says, What? The executioner, I believe. And so here comes the executioner. Enchantress, at last, I have been looking across all of Asgard for you. And she says, How I have no idea what that is. How inopportune. Oh my goodness. Of you to find me at this moment, Scourge. Would you excuse us for a moment, Heimdall? Come, Scourge, let us retire privately. And so she thinks, and a simple spell shall ensure that Heimdall does not see or overhears what follows. Amora, I had to find you when I came back to Asgard. You left me alone on Earth. I couldn't stand to be without you for so long. And so the enchantress says, Perhaps this time you learn to stand upon your own 2 feet again. And he says, What? My feet, my legs, and then she hushes him. Exactly. They've become tree trunks, rooting you to the ground here in the forest. And this spell of silence will keep you quiet while Heimdall and I continue on our way. And she says, The spell will expire eventually, but do not disturb me again, Scourge, when I am with another man, or it will be worse for you. And so Amora goes to Heimdall and says, What of your friend, Amora? And she says, He has departed for another part of the forest. Forget him. I have. So, she's kind of cold. So, the days pass and the repairs of the Golden City continue day and night. And as do the preparations for Thor's forthcoming journey into the heroes of Valhalla until that cloud of dust below the horizon at last. The waiting is over. Baldur, my friend who is more than a brother to me, welcome home. Let me embrace thee, brave one. Never have I seen thee look better. My thanks, Agnar, for bringing home the Lord of Light. Like I said, we will be going into that series so you can kind of see what happened to bring him home. Agnar has told you what I propose to do. He has, noble Thor, and the thought... Okay, he has, noble Thor, and the thought to rescue these lost mortals from hell only does you honor. But in truth, I wonder if you know what you're asking the Einherjar of me and of yourself. What sayest you? Much did I tell Volstagg of my sojourn in hell, Thor, but even from him I held back the horrors. And so that would be in Thor 338 and 339. Balder, I did not walk out of hell. I swam through the blood of warriors. And in the tale I have already told, I spoke of how I came to stand before the mountain of the dead whom I had slain in countless battles. I did not speak of Hela or how I found her waiting for me. Welcome, Balder. Long have I awaited your coming, and longer you will still have to wait. For though my spirit stands before you, my body still lies in Asgard, protected by the spell of Odin. And as long as Asgard stands, I shall not truly be thine. Well said, brave one, but if your wandering spirit should perish within my kingdom, not even Odin's spells will call you back to Asgard. This is, of course, in Thor 275, which we have not covered because that was before Simonson's run. But for one so beautiful, even death must be fair. There, brave one, lies the path from darkness. If you but climb the winding road, Balder shall see the sun again. But before you go, I have gathered some friends, some old friends who would like to greet you. They have waited a long time to see their former battle companion, and joyfully do they long to taste thy shining steel again. Welcome, Balder, and welcome thy former swordmates. Come, Balder, and play the game of death. And her laughter echoed throughout that forsaken place. There was no other sound, and I knew then that to fall to these weapons of the warriors before me was to surrender to Hela, and become no more than the foes I had once slain, a mindless, willless slave to the goddess of the underworld. And so I fought, and I fought as I never fought before, and hoped never to fight again. Time had no meaning in that terrible place, and I do not know how long the battle raged, or how many bitter tears I shed. I know only that in the end I strode out of hell alive. My hair was white, and I had slain my 10,000s again. This is what you ask of every hero who rides with you. Hela shall be waiting eagerly to greet the men who have done so much to fill her empty halls. And so Thor says, by the way, I love how the panels just open up to the word balloons. It's so cool. I've given my word, Balder. I will go into hell if I have to go alone. And Balder says, I knew your answer, my dearest friend, and one at least shall ride with you into the darkness. Then let the hordes beware. And now it's sunset. So I have come to say goodbye, mother. Let the call to go out to summon all loyal as guardians to the All Thing. The assembly shall meet when we return, and then shall all as guardians decide who will hold the scepter of Odin. We will leave tonight. Then forth the dark shall be our cloak until we stand before Hela herself. And so Frigga says, Oh, my poor boy, I fear that even Hela shall not be able to give you what you seek. And Odin kneels before his mother, or stepmother. She will yield up the mortals, Frigga, or never again shall I see the golden roofs of Asgard. If all you find in hell are the mortals, I fear you will not be satisfied, Thor. Then so be it. May the golden realm endure as long as the 9 worlds. And may the scepter of my father keep you and guard you from harm till I return. And Sif says, if you return. And Frigga walks away. I see that you two have something to say to each other, if you will excuse me. What is it you want, Sif? I can see that my very presence causes you pain. Why do you seek me out? And she says, I want to know why you struck me and why you let me go with Beta Ray Bill. Love is the answer to both questions, Sif. I could not hold you from going with Bill when he and his quest were what you needed most. And my love for Lorelei was so all-consuming so all enveloping that I would have done anything for it. But that was false love, a spell wrought of magics. And he says, perhaps that made it all the more potent. Now, like all magic, it has faded into nothing, but the consequences remain. And Sif says, are you certain that there's not another answer? That in fact you may never have truly loved me? And Thor says, can what can I answer to that? You would have certainly cert, you would have certainty when all I see now is illusions. When Odin vanished, he took all certainty with him. But this is truly but this I truly know. I love the Lady Sif as I've never loved another. Will you call Bill to the all thing? For what reason? He is Noah's guardian. He's Odin's last, perhaps his greatest work, as worthy as the mighty Thor himself. Another certainty, my lady. Very well, summon Bill back from Earth if you desire, but remember what I am learning now. Magic, even my father's, may only be illusion in the end, and we live with the consequences. Now, if you will pardon me, the longer we delay, the longer innocence must languish in hell. And Seth comes out. Did you really hope he would answer such a question? And Sif says, I wanted to hear something else. And Frigga says, Sif, my foster son is fallible, as are all of us, and he has lost his father. Do not judge him too harshly. The power of Loki's enchantment is beyond question. Yet heed this one word. Beta Ray Bill is a worthy hero indeed, but beware, he is mortal, and in the end, mortals may be as illusory as magic. And so, here comes the executioner who calls out to Thor. Thor says, what do you want, Scourge? I'm in no mood for trifles just now. And he says, nor I am. I want to ride to hell. I want to ride with you to hell. You would not regret it. 'Tis something I need to do. And Thor says, I think perhaps that we share the same need, executioner. Very well. We leave within the hour. So, less than an hour later. How goes it, Balter? All is ready, my friend. I think the long nights have begun. I love these goats. They screwed them up in the movies. In the movies, that screaming goats, man, that was annoying. All right. The Einherjar are impatient, my lord. Then follow me, you heroes, and let the hunt begin. For Hela beckons, and the hellhound Garm awaits. So, and the quick and the dead will be next. So, all right, Thor 360 from 1985. Hope you enjoyed it. I just love this Thor run so much. So, like and subscribe, and thanks for listening.